Miss USA 2021 is complete. The show is over and we have to talk about it. My name is Dani Walker. Welcome to my channel. I'm a pageant coach, judge, and a former Miss Montana USA. And I am so excited that I was able to witness this pageant. It was the very first that Crystle Stewart directed as the new director of Miss Teen USA and Miss USA. So very excited for her. If you love to see content like this, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also the notifications so that you'll find out when new episodes like this one come out. And if you love to support the channel, then check out my merch store as well. Today's episode is brought to you by Rehearsed to Relatable. If you're a pageant contestant and you want to learn how to create a personal brand or even what a personal brand is and why you need one, then check out the description to learn more about Rehearsed to Relatable. First, congratulations to Crystle Stewart because she put on this pageant, actually two pageants, within less than a year during COVID. There were so many challenges there. And so I really loved this production, but I think it's going to get even better in the future. So I'm actually very excited for next year. But let's talk about this year's Queens first. First, I am obsessed with the host. She was so gorgeous. She looked like she could compete tonight. And her confidence, the way that she spoke, it was just something I was like, wow, finally. What a great choice. The first thing I'm going to do in this episode, though, is we're going to talk about the contestants first and favorites and performances. And then I want to address all of the changes that happened this year because that deserves its own moment. The other thing I'm going to mention is the intros. Once again, they stayed in the same outfits that they were in during preliminaries, which is typical, but I really would have loved to have seen a change of outfit for that. I think that intros are such a great opportunity to showcase new designers, local designers, and give them some recognition. So hopefully in the future we'll be seeing that at Miss USA. I had several favorites for the swimsuit competition, and I will tell you guys this, it is so different watching these pageants in person. So the performances translate very different on screen than they do come across in person. So if you ever had the chance to go see Miss Universe or Miss USA or another huge national pageant, you were going to see exactly what I mean. My favorites for the swimsuit competition start out with North Dakota. Okay, so I talked about her during the preliminary recap, and I thought that she could bring more energy to the stage for sure, and I wasn't sure how things were going to go, but considering that they competed on stage first and then they had interviews and that she was first runner-up at Miss Teen USA in the past, I thought that her overall score would be great because she is so facially beautiful, such a sweetheart too. So although I think that the walk could have been more fierce, the face really carries her. It really, really does. And she didn't do anything crazy or over the top, so I still loved her. Next, Maryland. So what was so great about this performance was that it was during finals and people really seemed to love her, and it was a moment in the room when she was walking on stage, and like hearing the crowd really going crazy I think helped, and I just felt like she was on tonight. North Carolina reminded me so much of Shandy. I talked about it in the preliminary recap, but just the height, her figure, and so I always think Shandy with that. But what I like about her is that she seemed present. She seemed like she was enjoying her time on stage, and that's very important to me. Illinois, so gorgeous. Just so gorgeous. It's just, y'all, it's the face, right? Like, this girl could do anything, and it's like you're so distracted because she is so gorgeous. But I really felt like we lacked some energy during finals. I was like, girl, like, wake up, let's have some fun. And I just wanted to see her let loose a little bit more. But regardless of that, it's just like, she's just so gorgeous. You want to see her continue. I think Kentucky's performance improved from the moment that they announced her. And then the walk was great, right? Pivot was good. It was all just solid. But when she got to the end of the runway and she looked out at the audience, it was a moment. I was actually sitting right beside her dad for the show, coincidentally. And I told him that. I was like, that was it. That was it. I said, that's stronger than her preliminary performance. I said, that's right into the top 8. I was like, personally, right into my top 5, but at least right into that top 8. You got to follow the steps first. Florida gave me Miss Universe vibes for sure. The face, the hair, the body, the walk, everything. I loved her. What an easy pick. Immediately, I was like, yes, send her to the top 8, please. South Carolina, great opening smile. Oh my gosh, does she know how to use her eyes on stage and smile through her eyes. That is her talent. So charming. Great performance. Texas really reminds me of my friend Victoria, who was Nevada USA 2020. And I think that her finals performance for swim was a lot better than her preliminary performance as well. I think she looked very, very beautiful. Once again, a contestant that I was like, oh, send her to the top 8. Yes. Now, what was great about this show is that we got to see the contestants that made semifinals in the swimsuit competition as well as an evening gown. And you know what? I love that. Give me more gowns any day. Here were my favorites. First of all, North Dakota. Gorgeous in that gown. I loved seeing it without the sash. I love that. It was stunning. She was clearly aging up well into that Miss Division. And she was really calm, very at ease on stage. We didn't see anything happen that was over the top, but like I said, because she's so beautiful, it helps to carry you to that next level. Marilyn. This performance was slightly more toned down for me, which I appreciated. I liked it. And then I really loved her little flip at the end. It was sassy. It was fun. It was confident. North Carolina, this gown without the sash was also better for me. Beautiful. The way that the fabric flowed. Of course, her walk is great. The performance is great, but the gown can really enhance that. And the pose at the end is perfect. It was perfect from all the angles. Illinois, once again, guys, gorgeous. All I can do is stare at her face. I'm mesmerized. I just look at her, I'm like, wow, how are you real? How are you real? Loved the gown still. I just, once again, thought that she would bring a little bit more energy to finals and really live in the moment and show that excitement. Like, I'm at Miss USA. I made semifinals. You know, there has to be this good balance between I'm excited to be here, wow, living it up, and then also, but like, wait, hold on. I'm still remaining poised and I have composure. That nice balance is always good. Kentucky. She did it for me again, guys. She did it for me again. She was present. That's where it was at. She just seemed to be smiling from her heart. And the gown, although I talked about it during the preliminary recap because I wasn't a fan of how wide the straps were, I think what really helped it was that it had, you know, a little low V. We had these cutouts on the side / back with mesh, and then the slit was not a narrow slit. It was a very wide open slit. So I think that honestly helped balance it out. Then I thought about it for a moment. I was like, what if that gown did have a thin strap? I think if it did, it actually might be too much. It actually might be over the top, a little too sexy. A little too sexy. Like, you know, great for something like Miss Grand, right? But maybe not as much for Miss USA. So you know what, guys? You know, I'll hand it to you. I changed my mind. Great choice. It added balance to the dress. Florida. This walk, girl, was even stronger once again than prelims, at least for me, although I do think that the pose at the end, instead of facing straight forward, because that gown, we've talked about it, prelims, has a lot of fringe, it can really cover your figure, so I think that a pose that would have been more angled to the side would have just been a little bit more picturesque at the end, but I mean, that's a very subtle thing. She still looks stunning. South Carolina, once again, strong performance, great walk. But what I really loved and appreciated about this was that she nailed that final pose. That pose was perfect for her in that specific gown. It's a moment. Texas changed her gown for the finale, and it was really, really beautiful on her, fit her so well. I think the performance itself was a lot more relaxed than her preliminary performance. During her preliminary performance, I felt like she just needed to exhale, to breathe. And during the finals performance, she seemed a lot more at ease on stage. The gown was beautiful, but I think what was tough about this is that the staging was so dark, and then this dress looks so dark. So you're starting to disappear on stage with the dark hair, the dark gown. So I really do wish that we would have seen her in a brighter shade for finals. Now we had a new area of competition called the open discussion. And they took the top 8 and they split them into groups of 4 and 4. And each of the groups of 4 was able to sit down and talk with the host. And so they started with some warm-up questions. Our first group was Florida, Maryland, Illinois, and South Carolina. The opening kind of warm-up question, which anybody can chime in on, was we're nearing 2022, do you have a resolution? And for me, I really liked Maryland and Illinois' answers, although I do think that South Carolina had a really cute moment because she was like, well, I'd like to say that I'm going to stick to my diet, but actually what I'm going to do, and then she went in her answer. So that was fun. She got the crowd going, but regardless of that, I really liked the content in Maryland and Illinois' answers. Then they asked all the contestants sort of a this or that scenario, who did it better, something like that, Adele or Taylor Swift, and everybody said Adele, and it was cute. It was just like this little fun time on stage. Then they asked them the best celeb fashion question, and everybody kind of had just a quick one-word answer, pretty much. Was it Beyonce, Kim Kardashian, or Lady Gaga? And it was split between Beyonce, Kim Kardashian. So that was cute, and it is really, I like it. It helps to put the contestants at ease. Then the contestants each pulled a question from the judges. So Florida was asked a question regarding financial literacy, and I thought that it was pretty good, but she basically was just centering her answer on the importance of educating yourself on any topic, even if that does mean financial literacy. So I think that it could have gone a little bit deeper, or that she could have given a really relevant example to the importance of financial literacy. Marilyn was asked a question regarding how do you promote positive mental health in your close circle, your friends group, whatever it may be. And she did happen to mention Girl Scouts, which she just had mentioned during the warm-up questions. So I personally would have preferred her not to mention that a second time. That was like my only thing with that answer. And then she focused on talking about that she personally meditates, but that everybody kind of has to find their own thing for their mental health. And so I would have just excluded that part from the answer, but I thought it was still great. Illinois was asked if gender equity is solely a women's issue, and she said that she doesn't believe that it is, but that everybody should have their own place and we should all be represented. And I think that it was a good general answer, but once again, I think that she could have thrown in a little bit more of a specific example about her personal experiences, how she maybe relates to this question. That's something I would have liked to have seen, but the way that she delivered it was great. South Carolina was asked about anxiety and that it seems to be at an all-time high. What's your best advice to deal with this? And I was sad about this answer because I think it's like a good general answer. She talked about breathing. Just breathe, especially during times like this, like being at Miss USA. And it was a very, very short answer. I just felt like she could have elaborated a little bit more, because when you're Miss USA, you have this really great voice, right? And that's the opportunity to share messages that you believe are important. And as we know, yeah, it's true. A lot of people have anxiety, and it would have been a really, really great time to encourage those people, to encourage everyone around you regarding this and give some great advice about how do you deal with it. Second group was Texas, Kentucky, North Carolina, and North Dakota. And their group question initially was asked about, I forget the phrasing, but kind of like a character quality that's most important to them, essentially. And North Carolina was great. She talked about being intentional. She shared a personal story, and it really allowed you to feel like you were getting to know her. And I was like, wow, that was great. North Dakota centered her answer around love. And I feel like, how do you go wrong with the answer about love? It wasn't an extremely long, lengthy answer, but it was great. Of course it's important quality. Talk about, having that love mindset, approaching everything you do in life from a place of love. Totally agree. And then Kentucky said that the quality for her would have been honesty. Honesty. And she said it's important to have people around you who are going to be honest, and kind of like how that plays a role in your own success. So that was really great. And then Texas was talking about the golden rule, essentially. Treat others as you wish to be treated, and that's what she tries to teach kids that she works with. Important. Great. I felt that overall, when I was listening to the answers in the second group, that I think that they were a little bit stronger than the first group. Then they were asked about trends that slay or should go away. And they were asked about charcuterie boards. I was like, oh my gosh, I love a charcuterie. I could eat a charcuterie as a meal. Wow. Somebody asked me that question. Yes. And so everyone basically said slay for that, or stay, whatever. And then they were asked, should sneakers be worn with everything? Like, should that stay or go away? Kentucky. Kentucky's answer was great. She was natural. She had personality. She talked about being a reporter and that it's so important for her to have comfy shoes. And then she talked about her favorite sneakers. That was great. North Carolina talked about wanting to turn heads in heels because she's always in sneakers as a nurse. And so she was like, I want to stand out. I want to wear heels. North Dakota said that she loves a good cocktail with sneakers. So it was a pretty simple answer. Next, it was their turn for their final question from the judges that they pulled. So Texas was asked about what changes should be made to increase racial equality, and I thought that she had a pretty great answer. She talked about her work with kids, and she talked about addressing differences with children, and I think it was smart because I think she could have changed the wording a little bit to be a little bit more direct with answering the question, but I got where she was going with it. I was like, I get it. You're starting with kids, building that foundation for equality, teaching them young. And I was like, okay, like, yeah. And she spoke well. Kentucky, whoa, here we go. So her question was about sustainability, and it's becoming more and more important. How can we encourage businesses to be environmentally conscious? And her answer, first of all, started, and you could see her just like get into like answering mode. There was like a switch and a very different facial expression on her. And so she talked about immediately, she's like, first we can address it at two levels, macro versus micro. And then she went into the specifics of that. And then at the end, she just had this cute smile, just super likable. But the crowd was like, whoa, she actually had a real suggestion for how we can accomplish this. And that is what made it impressive. North Carolina, interesting question. She was asked, how is Miss USA the same and yet different than it was 70 years ago, being the 70th anniversary? And I felt like she was starting off in a great direction, and then I felt like somewhere along the way it got a little bit derailed. So she said in many ways that it's evolving, that the women that are Miss USA are becoming these powerhouses. And then at the end, it felt like she was struggling with the comparison between the two, and she talked about how she is somebody who can do lots of things. She's a nurse, she's Miss North Carolina USA, and that she couldn't do these things without a team behind her. And what I think she was actually maybe going towards was, you know, how could I have gone this way without the legacy of people behind me, right? Like, that's where I thought she was going with it. Like, if it weren't for the women that came before me, how could the Miss USAs be who they are today? And so that's where I thought we were going. And then she wrapped it up and kind of said, but they're really I think she just said they're really not that different. And that moment, I could see her facial expression change when she finished her answer, and it just looked like she was like, I could have approached that differently. And so I just really saw that in her face. Now, North Dakota, here's what I was waiting for. She was asked if you could give advice to a politician, what would you tell them? And she's great at on-stage question, guys. Like, even if her answers are a little bit shorter, there's quality in them. So she talked about how first our government started off as bipartisan, and that the purpose of that was to find compromise, but now it has become divisive. And so she would discuss with them about how we can get back to that and actually have unity. And there was a moment there. There was a moment. The audience was like, wow, what a great idea. I like that too. So I think that's really what shot her up to the top. So our results here were interesting. So they brought out the top 8, and instead of a 4th runner-up, 3rd runner-up, all that, they instead basically split them. So we had a 3rd runner-up, Illinois, 2nd runner-up, Florida, 1st runner-up, North Dakota, and then our winner, Kentucky. So we just had our 4 and 4. I'm personally a fan, though, of the last 2 holding hands. I like the suspense. I think it's fun. I think it's like cute. I missed that moment. So that was one thing that I was like, it was okay. It was okay. It was announced really, really quickly. I was like, all right, no suspense. Got it. With those results, I also felt like Maryland possibly could have been up there in a top 5 if they were to have one, or Texas. So I would be curious to see the actual scores. Now I want to talk about overall changes for the show, like things that I think were amazing, and then things that I think could still be adjusted for the future personally. First, I'm really excited that we did not drag out announcing semifinals. Granted, there was a commercial break in between, but it was pretty quick. Okay, wonderful. I feel like that always wastes so much time during a show. Like, just get it done and over with. The one thing I didn't love, though, this year is there weren't contestant bios. People were asking me, why is that? I don't know. I don't know. I personally love to learn about the queens. Then we didn't get video packages either. Y'all notice that? I want to talk about the real pro to that and how I think it affected the competition. The great thing about not having these video packages is that you don't have something that is potentially influencing your judges during the show. This is very important because it's going to be a lot more like your average pageant that is not televised, a pageant that doesn't have the budget or the time to have video packages. It's a pageant that is solely based off of the areas of competition. Here's the thing that I think that a lot of people don't think about when we watch these UCAPs, these video packages. So if you watch shows like Miss USA, okay, but if you watch reality television shows like The Bachelor, you can see the magic that video editing does to create heroes and to create villains during the show. That's exactly what I feel like has been happening during the IMG era when we have these very branded video packages. But what a lot of people don't understand is that when you create these video packages, it's not just us contestants speaking freely during the IMG era. What it is you're walking into a room and there's producers and they're made to make you feel very comfortable. You don't really even know when things are starting. It's not like and go, be ready, be on. They just start talking to you and you're recording and you're having a conversation with them and they're asking you very specific questions. But you have to understand these questions are carefully thought about prior to any contestants walking in the room. And you think about these questions and you create them to get certain results. And in the same way, that's exactly what happens during reality television when you see contestants on The Bachelor, for example, speaking to the camera directly, but really they're in a room talking to a producer, and a producer has set questions and a list of questions that are created specifically with the intent to get a desired result from the contestant. Now, when you do things like that and you have specific questions and you're looking for specific answers, then you can create different outcomes. And with the magic of editing, you can really make one contestant look a certain way and another contestant look another way. But when we don't have those video packages, nothing's there to influence our judges. In the same way that producers on The Bachelor can create heroes and villains, the one that you should marry, the one that you definitely shouldn't take home to mom, producers can do that also for pageants when we have these video packages. You can create the athlete, the scientist, the ballerina, the one who just suffered a tragic loss, and of course, dependent on how you are being cast during a show for a telecast, that is in turn going to influence the judges and the audience based off of what information is being divulged from the contestants and how it is being edited. Aside from that whole thing, let's talk about some other stuff. I loved this year the diversity in the gown changes. I think obviously a lot of people were asking for that. We didn't want to see Sherry Hill sponsor everything. We did see some Sherry Hill, but we also saw other designers. I love that we saw a gown change or two, and I think that we can see more in the future. Can we have more and more gowns, please? Please sponsor these ladies, friends, please. They need help. We need help. I just found out my gown sponsor for USA sponsored us for $5,000, and they sponsored other states, but the other states got $10,000 for their gowns. Wow. Okay. I had no idea. No clue. And of course, you don't know as a contestant because you're all competing against each other. So you're not going to be like, hey, how much did you get for your budget this year? Right? Nobody's going to do that, right? Everybody's like, I'm preparing for Miss USA. I can't tell my secrets. Next thing I liked during the show is that we got to see so many clips of Asia. A lot of pageant systems, for some reason, they almost act like their reigning title holder doesn't exist anymore. It's like she's already gone, she's old news. But I love to see Asia during the show. Why not? It's an incredible accomplishment to win Miss USA. This is yet another opportunity to take your winners and put them in front of a larger audience. Create that opportunity for them. I will say I really did enjoy the open discussion. I thought that it made the contestants a lot more comfortable. It took away nerves and didn't put the pressure because they also didn't play the scary music. You ever notice that in pageants where it's like, we're going to play the music that sounds like these really, really deep, like heartbeats, and then it gets you really hyped up, and then it makes girls stumble because you're just like increasing the nerves on stage. Why do we have to do that? I mean, I guess it makes it more difficult to win for sure. It's like a whole other level, like a whole other obstacle you have to overcome. But it was kind of nice to just see the contestants relaxed. Those are my overall thoughts. Other than just pageant facts to mention, this is the second time that North Dakota has been first runner-up in the teen division, and then, same contestant, been first runner-up in the Miss division. Last time that happened was in 2014. Interesting. The other thing to note is that Elle, our new Miss USA, congratulations by the way, won Kentucky USA on her first try and then came to Miss USA, won obviously first and only try, which is following directly in the footsteps of Olivia Colbo. Will she be the next Olivia Colbo? Will she win Miss Universe? Honestly, she's confident, guys. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Also, I heard that for all of her wardrobe and stuff, bags are already packed. She's ready to go. So they're just basically, it's like, here you go, putting you on a plane. Here's all your stuff for Miss Universe. Like, whoa, whoa. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to work out. And hopefully she gets to Israel, because as far as I knew, according to the news, they were closing the borders today. And people are saying no, that they're going to be able to get her there. So I hope that she gets there safely and that she's healthy and continues to be healthy, and that all the contestants are, and that Miss France, please, 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 please gets better, because I would love to see her compete. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to tune in for lots more. Don't forget to subscribe. Share this episode with your friends, please. If you enjoy it, I would greatly appreciate that.